What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, I want to give you guys a quick market update as Bitcoin is kind of just continuing to move sideways. If you guys saw my last market update right before Christmas, you will know that I was talking about how, with the low volume during the holidays, a lot of times what happens is you will see some either wonky price action or, we were talking about expecting some consolidation, but I did not expect to see the level of sideways action that we got. Basically just stayed at 16.8 or about 16.8 forever. Every time I checked my phone, I'd look at my little widget on my home screen and it'd just be 16.8 next day, 16.8 next day, 16.8. And I'm like, wow, not a bad time to take a trip to New York for the holidays because Bitcoin just goes sideways. So so very, very interesting stuff here, guys. But I do think we will start to deviate from this range as you guys know, the stock market was closed yesterday. So, but today it was open. We did get a little bit of New York open volatility with a little bit of a dump to the downside, but short-lived. And now we are still kind of just trading at about 16,800. But we do have some bearish things popping up on the, on the higher hourly time frames. So I do just want to give you guys a quick update, show you the levels that I'm looking at, show you these bearish signals that I'm looking at, and kind of what I would expect here coming in the next few days, leading up into New Year's, and then into 2023. So without further ado, shout out to my John Deere hat. Without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and jump right into the charts. So here we are, guys, on the weekly time frame. Now, I do just want to cover a few things before we jump into the levels that I'm watching and these bearish signals. I do just want to touch on the higher time frames a little bit here. Weekly is getting a little bit of support here at that zero line. We were kind of waiting for this candle to print here on the weekly to see if we were going to get that red dot to invalidate this bullish divergence. But we are getting a little bit of support there. So, not the most bullish signal, but, a little better than getting that red dot. Now, moving over to your 6-day, kind of the same deal. We are getting a little bit of support at that zero line with the VWAP. Again, not the most bullish signal, but could look a little bit worse. Now, as we start working our way down to these other daily time frames, 4-day is printing a green dot, but I am taking that with a grain of salt for now, just for a couple of reasons that we'll get into in just a second. So, green dot printing on the 4-day, again, taking it with a grain of salt. 3-day is coming up. So, these higher daily time frames do still somewhat look like they want to move to the upside. Nothing super bullish here, but you can see that we do have our momentum waves starting to make some higher lows. And, showing that momentum is starting to move to the upside with those VWAPs also curving towards that zero line. Not quite getting the green dot here on the 3-day just yet. But coming over to the 2-day, we were actually printing that 2-day green dot earlier this morning, but we have since had it disappear right when New York opened at 9:30 when the New York stock at 9:30 when New York Open happened. We did get that volatility. We did get a little bit of a dump to the downside with a yellow X on the 30-minute, and it unprinted that green dot. So something to watch, and we will come back to this 2-day in just a second because there are some things that I am looking at for the next move to the upside that we may get. But first, guys, there are some bearish things popping up that I want to go over, and it starts with the daily. Now, the daily is, I do believe we covered this in our last market watch. Now, our daily is back in the red with that money flow. VWAP starting to roll over. So the daily does not look as good as it could. We did get that green dot confirmed, but it does look like we may want to flop over here, but a little too early to tell. But with that money flow crossover into the red, kind of hard to see there. If we zoom in a little bit, you can see it right there. Money flow crossed back over into the red. It is confirmed. So that is more on the bearish side. So that is bearish puzzle piece number one. And then as we move over to the 16-hour, guys, that blood diamond is printing. Now, this is not confirmed, but if this confirms, this could continue to bring us down just a little bit. You can see this last red blood diamond red dot. This last blood diamond that we had right here did bring us down about 2-3%. So not the most bearish signal in the world, but sometimes they can bring you down much further. This one didn't do much damage, but we did break down pretty heavily shortly after that one printed. This one actually started a big cascade to the downside. And then, yeah, so kind of taking a look at this, definitely a bearish sign. Doesn't mean it's going to absolutely dump, but, you know, this one did bring us down about 2-3%. You know, if that one played out similarly to about 2 or 3%, could bring us down to about 16.3. You know, not that it's guaranteed to play out like the last one, but definitely a bearish sign with that 16-hour blood diamond. Same thing with the 12-hour. We are getting that blood diamond printing. Again, these are not confirmed, so you do want to wait for these to confirm to, you know, really expect this big move to the downside, because you know, I forget when it was. I think it was right before the holidays. We were seeing some blood diamonds on the higher time frames. It was looking pretty bearish, and then they didn't confirm, and we actually never came down. So very important to wait for these to confirm. So 16 and 12-hour blood diamonds with the money flow on the daily back in the red is definitely more of a bearish sign. Money flow still in the green on both of these time frames. So you know that it could look a lot worse. But again, blood diamonds, you want to make sure you take these seriously because they can play out. They can play out very strong. So moving our way down, as we come down to the lower time frames, you can see here our 6-hour red dot is confirmed. Money flow starting to come back out there a little bit. Your 5-hour red dot is also confirmed. And then as we work our way up to that 4-hour actually looks like it wants to kind of cool off a little bit here with that move to the downside as that VWAP starts to curve back to the upside. Checking the BitLab trading stack here. Now, we are not getting any bottom signals here on the significant movements indicator, but we are getting our, you know, relative extrema. Not looking the most bullish I've ever seen it. So, you know, not looking super bearish, not looking super bullish. Again, you know, we are still trading in that tight range, even though we got that move on New York Open, a little bit of a dump to the downside, but really nothing crazy. Still trading in this extremely tight range, guys. I mean, look at this, you know, just straight sideways action. I mean, this is just a dead, you know, just dead volume here, just going in a straight line sideways, straight crab market. So, you know, we are getting unshaded waves here on the BitLab significant movement indicator. So that would indicate some more sideways movement. But coming back to market cipher, we are starting to roll up a little bit here. So the fact that we're not getting a strong bottom signal on the BitLab trading stack is kind of making me take this, you know, rounding of the VWAP here pretty lightly, right? You know, if we had a big blue wave indicating a bottom on the BitLab trading stack on the 4-hour here, if we had one of these big blue waves like this on top of the VWAP curling up, I'd have more hopes for a big move to the upside, but we are not getting that right now. I would actually lean a little bit, guys, kind of the same way I was leaning when I made the last market update, kind of sideways bearish here. May just continue until we break this tight range here. I don't know. I think we are most likely going to either continue sideways or break to the downside, unless one thing happens, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. But continuing on here, 4-hour VWAP curving up, kind of indicating, you know, may go sideways or even get a little bit of a pump to the upside, but wouldn't expect anything too major here. 3-hour curving up with the VWAP, 2-hour, and then obviously as we come up to these low or down to these lower time frames, your 45-minute is okay. Well, we were printing a green dot, and now we got a VWAP flop again. Like I said, sideways bearish. Right, we are getting that yellow X now. This is news to me. I literally was looking at the charts a second before I started recording. This was not here. We didn't even have the red dot. But here you go, guys. These markets move fast. We now have a yellow X on that 45-minute. Definitely more of a bearish sign. Now, 30-minute, this is kind of in New York Open. We had this yellow X with this big dump to the downside, or not big dump, but, you know, a little bit of a move to the downside. Seems pretty big compared to the market movements we've been getting in the past week or so. But, you know, getting that, you know, that yellow X could continue to play out here, giving us a move to the downside. 24-minute, you know, 2 yellow X's confirmed. So again, guys, you know, with the BitLab trading stack or BitLab significant movements indicator, giving us those unshaded waves, you know, if we bring them up here, this is kind of what's making me think that we could, let me minimize these, you know, making me think we could continue sideways with these unshaded waves on the 4-hour, the 3-hour, Come on, computer. You can do it. There you go. Unshaded waves on the 2-hour, kind of indicating sideways movement. But if I had to lean one way, I'd say sideways, bearish. But there is a bull case here. I just don't. I think a bearish case might play out. I think we could come down a little bit more before we come up. But let's go ahead and take a look at some key levels, and then I'll give you guys what I'm looking at to eventually get a move back to the upside. But first, let's go ahead and come over and turn on our TA here. And guys, the levels generally remain the same here. We have our value area high up here about 17,100, POC sitting here still at about 16,800, and then our value area low sitting down here at about 16,326. So, this value area low would be the major level of support if we do get a big dump to the downside with that 12-hour and 16-hour blood diamond with the money flow on the daily coming out into the red. If that causes a big move down, this would be a major level to watch. Would be that value area low. No guarantees that we'll make it down there, but you guys will know. We kind of talked about this in the last market update. These are generally the levels I'm watching. Where were we? I think it was the 22nd or the 23rd, maybe, when I made that last market update. But I was saying, if we lose this POC, it could start our journey down to that value area low, and then we just kind of got clung to this thing and just stuck on this POC, from that video until now. So it basically remains the same here. This is our key level that we want to hold. Obviously we have been playing below it, above it, flipping it to support, coming back down, breaking down. But until we decisively really start to lose and get stuck below this level and cannot get back above, that's where I think we could eventually see a move back down to that value area low. And there are some levels in between that we will take a look at here in just a second. But that's basically it, right? With the market looking like it may continue sideways, these are the levels that we're watching, right? That's kind of, I talked about this in my last video. That's kind of how I hedge my TA, right? The indicators are saying, hey, we might go sideways, maybe bearish, but that's when you could start to look at these levels, because we know with the volume profile, if we lose that POC decisively, the next likely stop is going to be that value area low. Again, no guarantees we get there. We do have some levels in between there that we could, land on, and I will show you guys some of those levels in just a second. But that's basically, what I'm watching, guys. It's the same range. Again, now we do have some more local ranges that we can watch as well. If we come down to some lower levels here, or I guess this is the local range. This macro range is pulled from this volume profile of the actual range we've been trading in since about November 9th. So that is where these levels are coming from. However, we do have another range. You guys know I like to look at the market in ranges because this helps us as traders, right? Because, you don't have to just trade when there's big movements like this. There's money to be made in these smaller ranges. Sorry, not trends, these smaller ranges. So I'm going to go ahead and pull some volume on this little range right here. And you can see in this local range, we are coming down to a significant level here. This is a value area low at about 16,700. So, again, with that 4-hour VWAP coming up, the 45-minute yellow X is not looking great here. But if we are going to get a bounce locally, this would be a decent spot to get a small bounce. Now, I already, was mentioning in the Discord that, I'm not really going to be looking for longs at this level, just because I think we could come a little bit lower with that 12-hour and 16-hour blood diamond with the money flow in the red on the daily. Not really. I would like to come down a little bit lower. No guarantees that we will, but I would like to come down a little bit lower before looking for some longs. But nonetheless, this level here at about $16,712 is going to be an important level to watch, as it is the value area low of our local range, right? So we have our macro range. This is the macro POC that we're looking to either lose or hold as support. And then our micro range, or our local range here, we are actually coming to some support. So maybe, this is very speculative, but, this is maybe if we do get a bounce, we may come up and bearishly retest that POC before getting a move to the downside, before that 12 and 16-hour blood diamond play out, and potentially move us a little closer to that value area low. So just something to look at in the short term as these lower time frames start to, green dot, red dot us here with a little bit of mixed signals. If we are going to get a bounce here and we do start moving to the upside, that POC might be a good level to look for a bearish retest. And then if we can't get above it at that level or at that point, that may be where we start to get a bigger move to the downside. So these are the key levels I'm watching, guys. I do believe this is a pretty strong level because I do think we do have some confluence here. Yeah, we do have a local golden pocket at this level too. This is pretty strong support. If we lose that, we do have that 786 sitting here at about $16,645. That would be another nice level to watch. But again, again, once we start losing this POC decisively with 2-hour, 4-hour candles, multiple 4-hour candles below this level, decisively cannot get back above this level. This is where I'm looking for that big move or that bigger move to the downside. So, and again, leaning a little bit more sideways bearish with all the bearish signals on those higher hourly time frames and the daily money flow in the red. Now let's talk about, guys, if we are going to get a move to the upside, when and where can that happen, and what am I looking at to potentially see that happen? When I woke up this morning and I was looking before New York opened, I was actually looking at the 2-day printing that green dot, which was making me think like, hey, the higher time frames may be rolling back to the upside. But again, like I said, it unprinted. That's why you don't want to make trading decisions until your signals are confirmed. This is what I would watch, this 2-day, right? Starting to get rejected at that 0 line, but your money flow is coming up pretty nicely on that 2-day. And so I would be looking for that 2-day to be looking to print that green dot and that 3-day as well, right? Because we have not only money flow, 3-day money flow not looking as hot as the 2-day, but it is still in the green. And not only do we have the money flow in the green and the VWAP coming up, we also have the momentum waves making higher lows, showing that momentum wants to move to the upside. So if we get the green dot on the 3-day and that 2-day, probably 2-day is going to print first if I had to guess. But yeah, VWAP just continuing to reject here. But once we get those green dots, this would be something I would look for, depending on when we get, oh, there you go. I was going to say, depending on when we get that red dot on the daily, it did just start printing here. So this is just another bearish sign here, guys. Again, just leaning further into my sideways bearish, sentiment here. But if we get that 2- and 3-day green dot, or when it happens, I'd be looking at these 3 daily time frames to print green dots, and then I would be looking at the 2, maybe the 1, the 2, and the 3-hour money flow crossing into the green for that next move up. But as I continue to record this video, the bearish, look at that, guys, we just dumped to the downside. Boom, hit that 786. Are we going to get a bounce there or just rip right through it? Things are bearish. The bearish signs are just continuing to pop up here. So this is basically what I'm watching, guys. Again, sideways bearish. If we cannot get above that POC again, we will likely start moving our way back down towards that value area low. So that is your key level to watch. And now you guys kind of have that bullish case, but I'll be 100% honest with you. As I recorded this video, as more of those bearish signs, the daily red dot printed, the yellow X just printed. Or what time frame was that yellow X on? I don't quite remember. But the bearish signs just popped up as I was recording this video. So definitely leaning, maybe sideways bearish. But I do think today, and then maybe going in further into this week, we will eventually we are finally starting to deviate away from this tight range as people start trading in New York Open. Everything is starting to move now. So I think we're going to come out of that holiday range here and actually see, price start to move. So now you guys have the key levels to watch. And you guys know those signals that I'm looking at for a potential another move to the upside, but the bullish hope is getting further and further away as these bearish signals pop up. But I just wanted to get this video out to you guys real quick. My flight was moved to Friday, so I was going to be back in the studio on Wednesday, but I did get my flight moved to Friday, so I will be making videos from here, continuing to make videos from here to keep you guys updated because I don't want to leave you in the dark here. They don't call me Frankie Candles for nothing. I got to light the way with my candle. So with all that being said, guys, I think that's all I got for this video. I'll see you in the next one and the Discord. That's all I got. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong.
Here we go. At the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide.